been around a long time. In fact, the ancient Greeks defined, the classical Greek system, the language defined criticism. The Greek word roots were kritikos, which was to make judgment. Criticism is in our nature. And unfortunately, I think it's on the growth. What is the root cause of actual criticism rather than the word? The truth is, I think that it has to do with the fact that we consider ourselves apart from one another. I am not you. I am me. We are not one. And because of those differences, I don't like those differences. And I think this is going to grow over time because we've been moving away slowly from a tribal society where we as a group, small groups of people, identify with one another. We've been moving towards a brand of me. I'm important. Look at the stickers on my car and all the things that I do and like and where I live. Look at my Facebook page and all the wonderful things that I do. When I looked at the goals for this speech, there was one thing, one experience of criticism that I had that came immediately to mind. In 2010, I moved back to my condo in Florida from Canada. And the condo association was in need of a president. And somehow, I was nominated. Has anyone ever been on a condo board before?
No.
Dave has. He understands my pain. I'm convinced to this day that they didn't actually need another member on the board. They were simply tired of picking on one another and needed fresh meat. During one boarding in my own home, one of my fellow board members accosted me. He tore me a new one, left and right. And I tell you, that moment sticks in my mind, not so much because of how John treated me, but because of the way I handled it or didn't handle it. Let's talk about a couple of ways in which we can handle verbal assaults. The first option is to withdraw. This is my specialty. I'm really good at this. Run away! Run away! I just sort of nod and say, well, look at the time! Thanks for telling me I gotta go. This is the way I handle most confrontation, until I got married and had to learn a few tricks. A second method is to rationalize it. Oh, well, that's not my fault, actually. That was Joe's fault, because Joe came to the meeting late, and he didn't understand that part of it. Or, well, that's not really true. I mean, you're making it up. It's all in your head. None of this is real. You're imagining. And that's not particularly effective. Another method you can use is to counterattack. You son of a bitch! How dare you say that to me? Come in here and talk to me like some junkyard dog? That's not effective either, because all it's doing is creating more confrontation, more negativity, and you're not solving any problems. Let's talk about some ways of handling criticism that are a little bit more effective. The main encompassing tool to use is responding to this criticism in a non-defensive manner. You stay calm. You listen to this person. Listening is very powerful. They say that you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. I've never figured out the reason, but Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of my favorite books. And I believe in the first chapter he explains to us that you should seek first to understand and then to be understood. When you're listening, don't do it with too big of a grin. Because that can be really off-putting and just really anger the other person, possibly to the point of violence. Better to just, okay. Be sincere, or at least appear sincere, if you're not really sincere. Acknowledge what this person is saying to you. It's important to indicate to your attacker that you're acknowledging them, that you're recognizing, okay, interesting. Slightly nod your head, make sounds, things like that. You might call this active listening. And it lets them know that at least you hear what they're saying. You're not admitting to anything by any means or stretch of the imagination. You're simply acknowledging that they have these feelings they want to communicate to you. Be careful of vocal tone, gestures, facial expressions. Grinning like an idiot will not get you anywhere. I've tried it. Ask questions. You want to see a great execution of asking questions? I have a video clip from my favorite movie queued up. This really disarms the attacker. I really like this. You ever seen the movie Limitless? Audio failure!
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's going on. I think the cable.
Is it plugged in?
Yeah, we get the idea. for
Yeah.
sure.
Technical difficulties.
Lot of nonverbal communication
Left to left.
going on there.
Was it a silent movie?
Yes. Yes. Well, you can just assume. You can just trust me. I have a trustworthy face. He does a great job of asking questions and completely disarms his attacker. The next thing to do is to paraphrase what it is that they're saying to you. Okay, what I think I hear you telling me is blah, blah, blah. This was something that my wife and I learned during counseling. We had a couple of sessions, okay, a lot of sessions. And the counselor taught us precisely how to do active listening, which was a lot like broken telephone, actually. I think I heard you say, "No, Reid, that's not what I said at all." So this is something that takes time and practice, I've discovered. I'm still working on it. Another important aspect for handling the criticism is to agree with any truths. If you can look at this person's points and say, okay, there's some validity in this, lend credence to their arguments, so that makes them feel even more heard than previously. But it does not mean that you need to admit fault. It's important, as we said, to recognize what they're saying. And if you point out that, okay, I'm not perfect, certain errors might have been made, I'm not going to say that they were, but they might have been made, they'll feel much better. At this point in the presentation, I think it's time to bring up my guinea pig. Actually, I'm the guinea pig, and I'm going to be berated for your entertainment by Scott. Scott and I are going to role play the situation from 4 years ago that still sits heavy in my heart. You ready, Scott?
I am.
Let's shake hands before we start.
We should do that.
Okay. Good time, gotta go.
And the flight has already taken.
Hey, how much faster can this hand go? All right. You want to start?
You're on the board.
Yeah. So are you. Start again.
You're on the board. And yet you spend all of our money on yellow pigs. You are some sort of yellow pig-loving draconian botanist that's wasting all of our precious resources on plants being eaten by pigs who aren't even herbivores in the first place. What are you doing? Why are you doing this to us? You're ruining my life.
Oh.
Jeez, you seem very upset. I'd like to understand.
I am upset.
You are.
I have yellow-bellied pigs running all around here. I've never heard such a thing.
I'd like to understand your problem a little more clearly. Could you tell me, what is it about the pigs that you find upsetting?
They're yellow. And they're eating all of our plants. They're supposed to be on a farm eating pig food. Maybe not hot dogs, but some sort of pig food. And yet they're running around our apartment complex, our condo complex, untethered to anything. This is just the kind of thing that a Canadian would do.
Oh, well, there's no blow.
Oh, it's on. Oh, he hit wherever. John, do you feel that perhaps maybe you have some bias against Canadians? Perhaps that's the root of your challenge today? The pigs were a board decision, but they were approved by the community on the whole. It seems that maybe you're upset about something else. Is there something in the back of your mind that perhaps is upsetting you?
It's the last Olympics.
Oh.
That hockey team. It was a high stick, Sidney Crosby high stick dossier. All Canadians are bad because of that. It never fades.
Oh.
I understand. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that you feel this way. I would like to do anything that we can to alleviate the situation. And the board is here to serve, and we are volunteers, by the way. We're all a community. We'd like to have the input of the other residents. Do you have any ideas how this would make you feel better? What could we do that would make life a little bit easier for John?
A pig roast.
Oh, God.
A pig roast might be outside of our association rules and regulations. It's an open fire in the middle of the courtyard.
We'd have it outside.
We'd have it outside. Perhaps we could move the venue elsewhere. But in truth, we really need to keep the pigs. I mean, it was a board decision to keep the pigs because they would provide fertilizer. So the plant, the earth, which is barren, could be re-fertilized. Do you understand where I'm going, John?
No.
I see. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you feel this way. We're going to continue to work on this as the board moves forward throughout our term. We're open to suggestions, and we'd like for your input.
Good bacon.
I decline to answer the question on the fact that the answer may incriminate me. But I can understand your situation, and we do appreciate that you're having some difficulty with this situation. Please have a seat then. Further in the future. Okay. Now that we've completed our role play, we've got 2 minutes or so to dissect what we just saw. Rather challenging. Scott came out of the blue with flying pig, yellow pigs, Canadian comments. I was momentarily blinded by the light of his presentation, and I could use some help. You could tell me how things might have gone smoother. What could we have talked about? How could I have addressed his pig concern more effectively?
Having a roast.
Have the roast.
He would have been happy. He likes bacon.
That's true. However, the board voted for the pigs.
Talk about the benefit to the pigs, getting rid of the weeds and stuff.
Brought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
You would probably point out that they're eating the regular plants too.
I would see if there's something that you could involve him in with the pigs, making a more positive thing. Trying to find out if there's something about the pigs that he likes. Maybe they're friendly or something. Maybe he'd like to take one
Train
home.
one. Be very trainable. He can become a head pig trainer.
But involve him in the process somehow.
Yeah.
Find if there's any interest at all in anything. Or maybe even in a board, being on the board or something.
Another good suggestion.
That's where I thought you were gonna go, was to invite him to sit on the board.
Good idea.
Jason.
Scotty?
So what I'm hearing is you have an issue with pigs. Tell me, is it really an issue with pigs? What's your real issue here?
Yeah. You kind of did that. Well, you also said, I think you have a problem with Canadians, so you wouldn't, that would make it more defensive, maybe. But, yeah, putting it that way, I think would be more.
All right. Good. Well, I hope we all learned something today. I know I did. And less fearful of yellow pigs now that I know how to handle the criticism. Have a great Thursday, guys.